Hi, my name is Waverly Pung, and this is my presentation for my internship this semester. So I conducted my internship at an organization called LINC Cares. LINC is actually a business that builds affordable housing for low-income residents of California. And this program is actually something that they've started semi-recently, where they hire volunteers and then usually one program coordinator to work with the kids at these low-income apartment complexes to do things such as, help them with their homework and work through some issues that they might be having at school, and also work with parent relations and those sorts of things. I found this internship through volunteersearch.com. I was kind of just looking around to see what my options were. I kind of wanted to really do something to utilize, my degree and the things that I learned at BYU Idaho. And so rather than just working at, a marriage and family therapy office or something like that, I kind of really wanted to find something where I could be involved in something that would be a really good experience. So on volunteersearch.com, when I came across the LINC Cares ad, it sounded like something I really wanted to do, and so I applied and I heard back from them. So the place that I actually worked at or interned at was at Taylor Terrace Apartments, which I live in Rockland, California, which is just outside of Sacramento, and the apartment complex was in Sacramento. So I would travel about 30 to 40 minutes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In order to secure the internship, I reached out to a woman who was the head of the LINC Cares organization in terms of the volunteer coordinator. She was at the top, but she wasn't my actual program director. She kind of just organized the overall volunteer program as a whole. So I spoke to her, and then she put me in contact once I got her my application and had a phone interview. She got me my contact with my program coordinator in Sacramento. So my responsibilities included a couple different things. Usually when I would get there, I would sign in, and then I would wait for all the kids to come in. They all went to the same school except for about 2 of them, and there were about 10 students total in the program. So they would kind of trickle in slowly, and in the beginning, when I first got there, we would just talk and hang out. They'd play on the computer. I would ask them about their day and just kind of warm up to each other and see how they were doing and that sort of thing. And then once all the kids had filed in, we would do their journal entries. So every day they would have a journal entry on the board about, just a question like, what do you want to be when you grow up? If you could invent a new toy, what would it be? Just questions to kind of get their mind going, warmed back up, and thinking creatively. And then after we did the journals, the kids would do 20 minutes of reading, 15 to 20 minutes of reading depending on the day and what we had planned. 15 to 20 minutes of reading, and then they would fill in their reading logs, which were basically just, read a paragraph or a couple sentences about what they read and that sort of thing. And after they did that, then we had snack. And our days are actually very structured just because that's what helps the kids. Kids crave structure and routine, so every day was exactly the same. After their snack, we had homework time for about an hour, but if it took longer, we would take the time it needed to finish the homework. And obviously the kids did not like this part, so this was usually when we had the behavior issues. They wouldn't act out directly concerning their homework. It would just be, they were getting frustrated with themselves that they weren't understanding, or they were bored, or they'd rather be doing something else. And so that's when we had a lot of behavioral issues. And with just my program coordinator, Diana, and I, with 10 kids, it could get kind of tricky sometimes, especially when on the days when their behavior wasn't the greatest, but we just tried to prioritize homework and keep them going, keep them encouraged and motivated and things like that. So as the kids finish their homework, they're allowed to kind of do like a free play, but they had to stay quiet for the other kids, so they could either do puzzles, or they could build Legos, or they could color, anything that kind of kept them busy but also kept them quiet. And once everyone was done with their homework, we would do whatever activity or craft that we had for that day. So for instance, we would do science experiments. We did one project where we had like a balloon dartboard, and they would throw bean bags and break the balloons, or make crafts, make musical instruments, just anything like that. So whatever activity we had planned for that day, that's what we would do after homework. And then after homework, we would do free play. So the kids could go outside, play on the playground, the computer, play on their tablets if they had them, anything like that. And then once the kids left, I would stay after and help Diana clean up, tidy up the classroom, and plan activities for the next week. And then on Fridays, I would help this girl named Roslyn, who's in this picture on this slide. I would help her with her homework, and then I was also giving her guitar lessons. Overall, some other responsibilities were also just to communicate with the parents where it was needed. You know, if some kid was having a special circumstance or behavioral issue, or parents needed to be informed of something, it was our job to make sure we communicate with them, and then also just to be with the kids, to play with them, to spend time with them, to really get to know them and to bond with them. How did I benefit LINC Cares? I think LINC Cares definitely benefited me more than I could them, but I did everything that I could to bring 100% of me and myself to the table to really help where I could. I know that I relieved a lot of the stress on Diana, because without me, it was just her, 10 kids to one teacher, and I can't even imagine how difficult that would be for her, because I never had to do it. So I know I relieved a lot of stress for her, and then of course just helping to plan activities and helping to discipline and work with the kids with behavioral issues. You know, when a kid's acting out in frustration or anger, or having a temper tantrum, or yelling or screaming, it's difficult for the teacher, one teacher, to be able to focus on them and the rest of the class, because the rest of the class sees that as a perfect opportunity to get off task, to stop doing their homework, to mess around, to do things like that. So one of us were able to tackle the kid, the problem with the behavioral issue with the student, and then the other was able to kind of manage the rest of the children, make sure they stayed on task. I also just was able to give my opinion or recommendations when she asked for it. I don't have tons and tons of experience, but just from things I've learned at BYU, Idaho, and just some of the other circumstances I've been in my life, and experiences that I've had, I just was able to give different recommendations when I was asked. How did I benefit? I learned so much from this internship, more than I think I even expected to learn. Not only did I learn very standard basic things, such as what it takes to run a classroom and risk factors that these kids face, and those sorts of things, but I also just learned, I just saw another side of what I haven't seen before. I saw kids who came from very, very, very rough homes, and I saw exactly how their home environment played a direct role on the way that they acted and the way they behaved. If a kid came in and was acting out and was yelling and was frustrated and was easily annoyed and those sorts of things, if we took them outside and asked them what was going on, 9 times out of 10 they would have said something happened at school or something happened at home. And so it's easy to see just how much these kids were affected, and that's one thing that I really learned, was just how much the environment plays a role. And another example of that is one of the journal entries for the kids had been, what do you want to be when you grow up? And almost every single kid there wrote something like, I want to work at Walmart, or I want to work at Burger King, or I want to be a mailman, or things like that. And it's only because that's the example that they have, and none of them have parents who have gotten a college education, or many of them don't have parents who have even graduated high school. So schooling and education isn't important to them. They just see what they see from their parents. I also just benefited because of all the relationships that I made with these kids. Going into it, I was nervous. To be honest, I was a little bit intimidated. I wanted to be able to help these kids as much as possible, but I also didn't want to cross any lines, and I just wanted to be there for them and form actual real relationships, and I truly think I was able to do so, and I'm really, really grateful for that. My connection from previous classes, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but there's a lot of ways where I reflected back on BYU Idaho and was able to share those things with Diana and with the kids and those sorts of things. I mentioned this in the previous slide, but for instance, I remember learning about this in many of my classes at BYU Idaho, was just the effect of the environment on the development of a child and how children learn through observations. They learn through what their parents do and what their parents say. And if they aren't taught respect through their parents or for their teachers or from their peers, they're not going to have respect. And that was really evident. And just how their self-concept and their self-confidence is related to how they're treated at home. You know, a lot of these kids had no self-confidence, and that's why they would act out. Jealousy was huge. They all wanted to get attention because they weren't getting at home. Just all of those things. And I remember learning about a lot of those things at BYU Idaho in my classes. Would I recommend this internship? Yes, I definitely would recommend this internship to anyone living in California. I'm not completely sure if LINC Cares or even LINC in general exists outside of California, but if you do live in California and are looking for an internship, they have sites all throughout California, from Southern California to Northern California. So I would definitely recommend it. It was an amazing opportunity for me, and I'm still, even though my internship is over, I'm still going to be going back in, hanging out with the kids and just volunteering when I can. So there's the contact information for anyone who's interested. And last but not least, these are just some other pictures that I was able to get while working at this internship. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity that I've had. I'm so grateful for the relationships that I've made with these kids and the way that I was able to maybe not make a huge difference in their lives, but I just told myself, you know, if they're coming to the program and I can make them smile, then that's better than them going home and sitting alone by themselves and, you know, not having the best day after school. And so that's what I'm grateful for. I'm just grateful for that experience and the way that I've seen that I've changed as a person. So thank you for watching.